and for us to check the sound, if we can hear you. Just say hello to us, please. This meeting is a hybrid one, combining physical meeting and online meeting. This is to ensure that no one will be left out. There has been times where people have been left out from very important conversations as a result of challenges such as flight ticket, and locations and what have you. But this conference is determined to ensure that no one will be left out. That is why friends are joining us via Zoom to participate in this meeting. And our two guests for this afternoon session are joining us via Zoom. So Cynthia Lolo, please, if you can hear me, kindly unmute yourself and say hello to us. Cynthia Lolo. Okay. Robert Kasenene, please, if you can hear us, kindly unmute yourself and say a few words. Just say hello.
Good afternoon.
Good
Afternoon, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you very much, my leader.
Nice to see you, and my best of wishes. I hope everyone is keeping safe there in Nigeria.
Yeah, nice to see you also. Are you Nigerian by us?
No. I am from Tanzania.
This is the city in the sun, Nairobi, Kenya. Please, you'll be forgiven.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Good. The feeling is mutual. Cynthia Lolo, please, can you hear us?
I can hear you properly.
Perfect. So, friends, before I introduce the topic for discussion and the guest, I was sharing a few words with my colleagues from Kenya this afternoon over lunch that one of the greatest benefits of a forum like this is the network that we make, and it will serve as a pool of resource that you can always tap into for your work. And I was making the point that if you participate in such a meeting, you are 5 steps, or put it 10 steps, ahead of any young person at your level, be it education or work or age, who has not had the opportunity to participate in such a meeting. Why? Because here at this meeting, we have not less than 3 countries. Let me say 7 countries present here. What that means is that even if you've not been to these countries before, at the word go, you have contact in these countries. What that means is that anytime you go to, say, Nigeria, the Gambia, Uganda, Ghana, there are people here whose contact you have, who you can readily call. So even imagine that you find yourself in these countries and you are stranded. You will not cry. You know that there are colleagues you have met. You will reach out. You will be helped. Imagine that you are to embark on a project. Let's say World Bank is giving out $10,000 for advocacy work in FGM. And the requirement is that you need to prove that you have a continental appeal in your organization to manage these funds. All you need to do is to call one person from Nigeria, call Cedric from Ghana, call someone from Gambia, profile them, let them have a background of the project, and you are good to go. This resource, this rich network, anyone who is out of this conference or have not been participating in such a conference will not be privy to that. So please, it will be a shame, a very, very big shame, that you will come to this conference, you will live here and not make a contact. It will be a very big shame that you will be here, you will live here, and you will not make acquaintances with people in different countries. You need their phone numbers. You need their social media handles. You need to be able to communicate, share your activities, receive theirs. That is how the networking does. You will be amazed, very, very amazed, that in 1 week from now, 1 month from now, 2 months from now, a year from now, when you need people to support your agenda, you'll be amazed how you can just, at the snap of a finger, you have a pool of network of people to count on. So that will be the focus of this afternoon session. And so please, if I introduce the names of our guests, you take cognizance of their names, you check them out on social media, and after this, yourselves reach out to people. So it is said that in the United States, when people meet each other, they say two, three things: your name, what you do, and where you stay. Hi, my name is Cedric Jello. I'm a climate change advocate. I come from Ghana. You stop at that. The person also introduces. Then you find common leverage where you can meet each other. So please make use of the networking platform. This afternoon session, ladies and gentlemen, is a fireside chat. It is to focus on how to leverage on social media to advocate for the elimination of female genital mutilation. All of us here present, we are very much aware that one of the effective ways of tackling negative social norms in our contemporary time is the use of what? Social media. You can name it: WeChat, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and even others that I may not know. So for this afternoon, we have profiled a very, very important guests, two of them, to talk to us on how to leverage on social media to drive our work. There has been a lot of talk about how to do this, but let's hear from those who have done it before, who have blazed the trail in this regard. My first guest is Cynthia Lolo. Cynthia is the founder and CEO of Lolo Talks, by the name Lolo Talks. You should know that we are talking about a platform that engage people about speaking on important matters. Cynthia is so passionate about lending her unwavering voice and airing her opinion on thorny social issues. We say thorny, that is to say that issues that people shy away from, issues that are not commonly discussed. She has garnered massive traction and received recognition both locally and internationally. Ladies and gentlemen, not only for this forum, but even if yourselves, you need somebody to speak on such a topic, you can invite Cynthia to speak via Zoom or to visit your own country to talk to you. Please put your hands together for Cynthia Lolo. Hello, Cynthia, you're welcome. Yeah, that's her. Yes, please, you can look.
Thank you so much for having me. Your introduction made me chuckle.
Ah. Cynthia, thank you for also making yourself present here. Our second guest is Robert Casenene, who is the Regional Spotlight Initiative Coordinator and FGM Policy and Advocacy Specialist. He works at the African Union. Some of you have aspirations to work at the African Union. This is the man you should be talking to. He has worked in several capacities in social development with experience in leadership, policy, advocacy, and communication. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Robert Casenene.
Thank you, Mr. Cedric. Pleasure to be here once more.
Thank you very much. So, let's move straight into action. We are very much aware that social media has become a very instrumental tool to several global and regional movements. And I don't need to school you on this. If I should ask a simple question about how you think social media has driven forces or has been able to champion causes, I'm sure you'll be talking about the 16 days of activism. Those of you coming from Nigeria will be talking about NSAS. And those of you from the diaspora will be talking about the Black Lives Matter. So, my guest, my honorable guest, I'd like to pick your intake on what ways do you think that young people can leverage on social media to advocate for the elimination of the FGM? They say ladies first, so I'd like to hear the voice of Cynthia Lolo.
Sorry. When we talk about social media, just like what she said, it has become a massive platform right now in our society. You know, it has also changed the dynamic that we see in Africa. Usually in Africa, we see that young people are either silenced or they stay in the shadows of their parents. And when we talk about issues like female genital mutilation, there's a lot of silence and shame surrounding this conversation. So with social media, young people are able to amplify their voices, break away from that shadow of their parents, and use the power of their voice to create some certain level of awareness about the conversation, and also allow people understand the true realities of people who have suffered, or women rather, who have suffered from female genital mutilation. I know that we have the Generation Z who are coming up. They have been able to use TikTok as such a massive platform for education. So with their fun 15, 20, 20 seconds video, they're creating awareness on different societal issues. So I believe in Africa, with the massive population of youth that we have, we are the future. I have to say, we should take advantage of the platform, should use it to create awareness and awaken people to the realities of female genital mutilation, and also use it as a medium to share stories. I know it's a human nature to want to listen and listen to other people's stories because it compels us to share our story as well. And with social media, it has broken, or rather, will I say, it has pierced the bubble that we live in. Before the internet era, you only know about what's happening in your surrounding. But right now, you can be at in your bathroom or in your bedroom, and you're tweeting about something that's happening in your community, so probably somewhere in your village, and someone in Asia can listen or can read and actually do something from where they are to help encourage you or help promote you in your advocacy. So I believe we as young people can really leverage the power of storytelling on social media to compel other people in our communities to also share their stories. Because by sharing our stories on social media, we are able to break away from the stigma, to break away from the shame that surrounds that conversation. So, yeah.
Thank you very much, Cynthia. Thank you for that wonderful submission. To serve as an amplifier, to break away from the shackles of the challenges they face, and to make people understand their own realities and realities of others, and then to promote storytelling. These are the ways that Cynthia thinks that we can leverage on social media. Very, very revealing. Robert, you have been at the African Union. You have come into contact with young and promising leaders who have been serving in different fields. What is your own experience of how young people over the years have been leveraging on this important tool to advance the cause of social impact, and in specific, how they can use it to fight against FGM?
Thank you. Thanks again, Mr. Moderator, Mr. Cedric. This is a really good opportunity to be able to have a conversation with young people that are on another side of the continent. And that's one part of social media. And I begin with thanking Youth Hub Africa, because if you need an example of someone or an entity that is leveraging new technologies, particularly social media, you look at an organization like Youth Hub Africa. You know, from the early days in 2008 of blogging to today, utilizing and amplifying, the strength of the internet fully to really reach young people with tools, with experiences from other people like ourselves, like yourselves in the room. That's leveraging. And it's a really good example. And if you can spare a moment when you can, read about Youth Hub Africa, look at how they've been working. You see the different examples of things that you can do. And when you look at these social media, platforms today, they're not really doing anything new that we were not already doing. What they're basically doing is expanding the interhuman connections that we were already making. It's about me and you as friends, creating and documenting and archiving a lot of our conversations for posterity. And then they're giving us different tools to categorize them, to give them a name, to give them a brand, to associate them to the things that we are doing. And so if we understand that we know that it's more about us being the best of ourselves. And when you look at the issue like ending female genital mutilation, it is about addressing the negative gender stereotypes, addressing the negative social norms that continue to, perpetuate this practice. And if anything, since it is a human man-made issue, then we can address it between ourselves, right? And so if anything, if we're going to utilize social media, then what we basically need to do is just attack this issue, continue talking about, speaking about, its elimination, and declaring our interest to completely eliminate the practice. And when you look at that example, then there are many ways that we can do it. There are all of these hashtags that we can use. There are groups that we can create, conversations that we can create that will continue challenging the narrative in society. The more these technologies penetrate, the more we can challenge the narrative. Let's not forget that technology has not penetrated enough across our continent. So in as much as we are making that conversation work, we must continue, advocating for more access, for young people who are out there who don't have power, who don't have access to, smartphones, who don't have access, to all of these technologies. So leveraging social media really is about leveraging our connections and doing more with those connections to challenge stereotypes. There are quite a few examples that we can look at, and I hope that we have an opportunity to continue speaking about them in these few minutes ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Robert. That is indeed very deep. Now, Robert made a point, and he made it very succinct, that one of the organizations that is leveraging on social media to advance the cause of social impact is Youth Hub Africa. And please, there's no denying this fact. Because even here, right here, I've learned something great. Because just by the use of the Kahoot, is it Kahoot, right? Just by the use of the Kahoot, I've realized how powerful that tool is to drive social change. Because you see, evidence has it that when people in an environment of fun are learning or sharing ideas, the level of assimilation is high. That is why young kids, to say, when kids play around, anytime kids play around, and look at the Montessori schools, there's a lot of play that goes on there than the schools that most of us went, the normal government school. At the Montessori school, because the kids play a lot, they design the learnings around play. So while the kid is playing, the kid is learning. That Kahoot you've seen is a very powerful tool because just with 15 questions, 10 questions, you are driving a strong message and people are learning. So you can imagine using this platform for your own training. I had no idea about Kahoot until now. I leave this conference back home to Ghana. I'm going to use Kahoot in all my training. Whether it is climate change, is youth tennis, any training, Kahoot will be there. So Robert made a point that such platform is very critical towards development. And let us put our hands together for Youth Hub for bringing us together and for this Kahoot. Thank you. And I'm sure you also use Kahoot. And so please, if you want to learn how to use Kahoot, you can reach out to Ashifa or our Oga Rotimi and the others to, just take you through. I'm sure it will not be more than 5 minutes, training. So back to you, Cynthia. You are very much aware that, in the usage of social media, there's something we call safe space. And even here, physical meeting safe space. How people would be guaranteed their level of dignity whenever they engage other young people, whenever they engage authorities. And it is true that on social media, there has been matters arising about safe space. So, in your opinion, how do you think that we can make the internet, we can make social media, that space very, very safe, so that people who come to engage would be able to engage freely, knowing that their dignity would not come to disrepute? Robert made a point that we should continue to attack the crisis. We should continue to speak out. But I want to submit to you that speaking out is not cheap. Speaking out is not easy. It's not for the faint-hearted. Because If any of us here just go on social media and you take on your government or you take on the minister or you take on anybody on any matter, you think that you just go and then people will just applaud for you. No, same young people who should be fighting with you, working with the minister, will come after you. I've served, as an assistant to a former minister of state before, and let me tell you, sometimes when the issues are turning, they launch us. We address the issues, but sometimes you have the political leanings. So the question is, how can young people be guaranteed some level of safety on social media, such that if someone is talking about FGM and that person is a lady, that person's sexuality will not be questioned or will not be attacked. So, Cynthia, in your own experience, how do we ensure the safety of the social media platforms?
Thank you for that question. That's an interesting question. Um, hmm. Okay, and I think it's a layered question as well. I'm just going to answer them in breaks. The first one is about creating safe space when we are in the FGM, talking about FGM in on social media. Social media is like a double-edged sword. So it's a place where you can find like minds, you can create a safe space, but it's also a place where people have the tendency to attack because it's very easy for you're behind the screen and you can do whatever you want to do, you can say whatever you want to say without repercussions. So I believe that organizations or advocates and activists who are fighting against female genital mutilation can use their own personal social media spaces as a safe space and also protect the identities of women who come forward. Just like you said, there are certain women that can come out and talk about their FGM story without fear of backlash, even if they will receive that form of backlash or bullying, and they don't even mind, going through that process because it is just who they are. However, there are also other women in our community who do not want people to know about their sexuality, but they want to share their stories. So, as an advocate, an activist, or an organization working in the space, you are meant to provide a safe space where these women can submit their stories and know that their privacy will not be infringed. So I think that's one way that activists and advocates can use their personal platform as a safe space. When we talk about female genital mutilation as well, just like Robert said, it really interlinks with people's ideologies of gender, of identity, of women's sexuality. And when you live in the 21st century, we know that these are conversations that get people very heated because it links to their cultural beliefs of how men and women are meant to behave. It links to their deep rooted patriarchal beliefs as well. So these are conversations that, again, I believe women or men, whoever you are in this field, should know going in that it is going to raise certain level of tension in the community, but to not relent, even if they know about this fact, because it means that they're actually creating change. Change is not easy. There's always going to be friction. There are always going to be people who want to oppose that change. And sometimes with the digital media right now, people can just throw their beliefs or throw those insults because there are no repercussions, like I said. So I think that's another level to it. And the third level is all about digital rights. We live in the internet era, and digital right is the fundamental human right right now in the digital era. And when you look at advocates, let's use the FGM space, it seems like we are working in silos where you think I just want to come online, talk about what we're doing with the, against FGM, but we do not recognize the power that having young people in politics and policies have. Because when we have young people who are going into digital rights, there is a gap right now. The government can just shut down social media if you say something they do not like. But if you have young people entering into the spaces of like digital rights, of policy, of politics, we have allies in those spaces who can go lobby for us with some of these government bodies or some of these politicians. So I think it's a really layered conversation, and people who are advocates or organizations who work in the advocacy space should not see themselves as working in silos, should not see social media as just these little things, but see how social media is a reflection of the outside experience. Social media is just, it's filled with human beings. And even when people drop those phones, they go out into their communities and continue to perpetuate those ideologies that they put out online. So do not see it as one thing, but part of a wider of spectrum of the world that we live in. So yeah.
Thank you very much. I am very much aware that here in present are very, very seasoned grassroots mobilizers. And most of you have used social media. So please, I want practical experience. If you have ever, received backlash, or you have raised a topic, a discussion where the environment was not safe for you, and you felt that you were understood, please just let me see your hand. Let me see your hand. Yes. Good, good, good. So clearly, it is something that ourselves we bear witness to, that the environment has not been safe for some time in terms of social media engagement. Robert, please, let me take your point of view.
Thank you, Cedric. And I couldn't agree more with Cynthia there. Safety online is such a relative thing, and it will not be solved anytime soon. Bad actors who are after our opinions, after the color of our hair, after the way we look or what we say, the words we choose. And in this case, the brevity of coming out to say, I was subjected to female genital mutilation. I think this practice should end. Those people will always be there to come and offer, negative, unfounded opinions. But it's their right, freedom of speech, and it's a space that is open. You can't address it, right? So those are users just like you and me. That's how they choose to use their time. So we leave it at that, right? But the organizations that we work with, that share in our message, that are like-minded, I think the first thing that we need to make certain that we do to build this safe space is build those ally groups, just like Cynthia said. Before you get out there with your message, make sure that there is a pool, of allies that support that message, that are ready to amplify your message. And then secondly, in most cases, the state, and of course, there will be, a difference in the level of how sensitive an issue is. If it is NSAS or if it is end FGM, it will be received differently by those in powers of authority because of how close it attacks their status quo. So in a sense, the second, I think, is to work alongside, with the state, not necessarily to compete in this case. For an issue such as female genital mutilation, we are in a much better place if we work with our leaders, if we work with our communities, if we work with our national governments to amplify that work. And I think we lose nothing by bringing them into the fold when we are carrying these messages forward. And so to ensure, I think, that safety online, the things that are within our power are making sure that there is clarity, in our message. We should not waver in the things that we are clear about. If we are speaking about, strengthening legislative action, for example, that's what we keep our message on. If we are talking about, engaging communities, that's what you keep your message on. Do not, get distracted by, all the negativity that is out there trying to push us down. Staying, straight on our agenda is also very critical. And also being consistent, I think, as well, with our messaging is also very, very important. And that will always make sure that there is, that our message lasts, that there is consistency, and that we are able to really capture the minds and aspirations of our communities in making sure that we build that safe, space for women and for girls, and we end female genital mutilation within a generation, I think. And so if it is safety online, we cannot run away from the fact that there will be negative people out there. We cannot run away from the fact that there will be some political leaders, because of some level of expediency, will choose to be negative. What we need to be clear about is our message. We need to be consistent with that message, and we need to be consistent with our agenda and stay on message. Thank you again.
Thank you very much,
Over.
Robert. Thank you. So, talking about space, let me leave the online space and come to the physical space, and then to give the floor to you. So,
you are muted. We cannot hear you this side.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, so I was saying that I will leave the online space and come to the physical space and to hear from the leaders. So this forum is not a forum to be spoken to. It is a forum to share ideas, because all of us here are very, very distinguished leaders. So please, I'm giving the floor to you to hear from you, your own experience, what you have to say about social media, using social media for empowerment, for campaign, for advocacy. Because in truth, it was Socrates who said that in a room full of people like this, if everybody can share their ideas or their mind on a subject, you will be amazed the kind of knowledge that will be taken away by each of us. So each of us have a piece of information from different dimension. But if each of us should share it, then each of us will have what everybody has. And you can imagine how well informed you'll be. So now I am offering you the floor to hear from you what you think about the subject, your own experience, how you think we can leverage on social media for advocacy work, especially in the context of FGM. Ladies and gentlemen, you have the floor. Just good. Let me hear from iBaby. Yes. iBaby. Yeah, I think so. Can you on it, please? Okay, use mine.
Okay,
Hello?
thank you. I just want to say a little bit of experience from our own perspective using social media as a tool for uh, gender activism in general, and also to be specific on FGM. In as much as I feel social media is a critical tool in the work that we do, there are also a lot of the potentials and also constraints that it challenges us, especially in our own environment where it's difficult to distinguish between the online and the offline. For the simple fact that issues that we discuss online, they tend to even affect us when we leave the online spaces. For example, when we started the FGM advocacy using social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, and also Instagram, we see that the backlash we receive on social media platforms is even more than what we experience when we go to communities to so-called, let's say, even religious leaders that we think they will be rigid to changes. But we see more of resistance in those social media platforms where people will be calling us name, failed feminist activists, people that are bringing white ideologies. It's like, it's more, you tend to fear to just send one tweet than facing 100 people in a community to speak to them about FGM and its related issues. So I think there is always that is challenges that we face in terms of using social media, at least from our experience, mostly from men, like the backlash.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, okay, I go to my brother. But the point, she made is a very critical point. Because you see, this my brother here. If I'm speaking to him on any topical issue, because we are in physical contact, he looks at me, sees my eyes, my mannerism. There's a different way he receives the message. So we can be speaking about very, very hot issues, but he will be a little bit receptive. He will come towards it. But you see, you are tweeting from Kenya, from Uganda, and I'm in Ghana. All I see is your tweet. I see the words. And depending on my level of understanding or reading or education is how I'm going to interpret your tweet. You see? So what we tweet or what we post is not as the same as what we communicate, in physical terms. And that is what he's saying, talking about. And it's a very important learning that we must take away. So how do you coin your message on Twitter? And there you use this kind of emojis. You understand me? If you are talking about something that is funny, or, you vary the emojis so that it can put some sort of human, expressions towards it. So let me pick you, my brother.
Thank you. My name is Joseph Mulabi, again, from Uganda. The years that I've been on social media, I realized that if today I removed my shirt and posted my photo with my belly out, I will get very many comments and I will get very many likes to compare compared to what I would get if I posted a photo like let's end FGM in our communities. As a matter of fact, I've done that before, and when I check today, I think there are like 2 or 3 comments with about 5 or even 10 likes. So you realize the impact, or what people care more about as far as social media is concerned. So my problem, or even a challenge, or even a question, would be how do we craft messages that we post on social media that are at the same time engaging? Because when we are posting on social media, definitely the social media users are our target audience. And so how do we package our messages to ensure that when you see, you will actually respond? Number two, I would like to request that since we are the advocates, I would say, if there is a possibility, I believe that after this conference, if I posted a photo about FGM, I have people here that will be able to like and comment. How about us starting also maybe just like WhatsApp group, maybe a Slack group or a Telegram group, where we are all in there so that we keep exchanging ideas, sharing about progress in our communities, because I understand that not all of us are either on Instagram or Facebook, so that we keep interacting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. My name is Diana. So I would maybe share an experience, not really as an advocate, but in the side of the survivors that we are advocating for. Sometimes when we use social media to communicate with a good intention, we might at some point really end up causing harm because of how we communicate on these survivor stories. So sometimes you'd want to make a point, you might end up doing more harm than actually helping. When you post a picture of a survivor of FGM with a caption saying end FGM, this is so and so, and they went through FGM, you have already branded this person. The whole world has seen their face. Maybe you actually tagged the actual person's page. So this again causes these people to be attacked online. So as advocates also in the digital space, we should also do it in a safe way. As we provide the same way you'd protect the identity of a survivor, if you are advocating for their rights physically, it's the same way we should protect their identity virtually, unless they actually come out and say, I am okay with this, I want my face to be seen, because also the backlash in social media can go a very long way. That's where we also find cases where somebody would commit suicide because they're really depressed because of the mean things people say online. So my last point would be to my brother who says sometimes you might post a picture of your belly and then you get so many likes. Or maybe a lady in an outfit, you'd get so many likes. But when you talk about development issues like stop FGM, maybe you might not get a comment. Sometimes try posting that picture of your belly, but in the caption, talk about FGM. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
Good. Thank you for that tip. Okay, let me pick a man.
Thank you so much for that presentation, Cynthia and colleague. That exactly is something that I want to start with, that Senator ended with. This is where the problem is. If you choose to be an activist, then be an activist. There is what we call social media etiquette. The message you're sending out as an activist versus the message you're sending out, because this is your private space, it's your page, and you feel like you really want to maximize your rights anyway, and post what you want to do, to post. A picture of you in a short,
hello, Ahmed.
a
Please,
shirt
will I
and
indulge you
belly.
to please kindly stand so that cameraman can pick you. Thank you very
okay.
much.
So I think the team here will need to be trained a little bit more. I don't know if Youth Hub Africa will facilitate this, but we really need skills in having some etiquette when it comes to the use of social media. The reason why some of us really get bashed left, right, and center on social media is because of that. You're going to post a very nice message, very positive message about FGM, and you have The next photograph that follows is a photo of you shirtless, belly out, shorts. I mean, you're using the same page which belongs to you, fine, for doing a great job, but you're also putting your private life on there. So social media isn't giving us chance to separate our private life from the official life. So a little bit of skills in understanding, if I take this line, can I continue with that line and sustain it? Or my page is strictly for me, family, and friends? At the end of the day, as an activist, you'll have to post something. Not pornography. Then the next day you are talking about, guys, let's support FGM. I mean, the impression you create to your followers out there is a totally negative one. Like, this guy serious? What kind of message is he trying to put out? Is he pro or anti-FGM? So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ahmed. Thank you so much. I think the message there is about consistency. How to be consistent in approach. I see so many hands up. I love it. We have 10 minutes to wrap it down. Let me pick you, sir. Good. And I come to the lady, yeah, far end. And I go back to my panelist, my guest. Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, sir.
I'm sorry I missed the opening yesterday, but I'm happy to join the discussions today, and they touch on the things that I do on a daily basis. And I'm happy with the presentation that was done today, and especially on the current discussion. And let me just make 2 or 3 comments about the discussion on social media. And it's the thing right now. It's what is on vogue, especially for the millennials and the Gen Z.
Gen Z, yeah.
But and that's probably what you're trying to appeal to. But okay, sorry, let me start. My name is Kimani Wanjiro from Kenya, and I work in the communication and advocacy space, using art as well. So, back to what I was saying, is that my experience working in communication for development is that often communication comes at the tail end of any planning. It comes sometimes even as an afterthought. And that's perhaps what you find, that it occasionally impacts on the good things that we want to do, the noble things that we want to do. And even the campaign around FGM has occasionally suffered the same thing, that you make very good plans in a way that you want to execute, but again, communication comes at the tail end, and sometimes it's not given the desired attention. Here is what I think, tying it to social media, that we can do. First and foremost, social media, just like any form of communication, be it print media or be it through broadcast, needs a strategy.
Okay.
Yeah? You need to have a strategy so that you have a foundation of what you want to do. And the foundation is based on the 3 tenets of what social media would be, and makes it tick, which is text, it is pictures, and short videos. That is in as far as your content generation is concerned. If you get that right, then you will be in the right space. And then you have to have a strategy of how, and then you disseminate that one. Yeah? And it has to be deliberate in the way you shape the way you will disseminate your information. But that alone, for me, is not enough. You must have a way of then it feeding into the next or the other tenets of communication. And your social media has to find a way of how you link it to broadcast. And broadcast here is radio and TV. And by the way, studies have shown that radio is still the leading media or communication channel. So you have to find that you'll speak to your auntie, the very custodians of FGM, and if you because they will in the evening they'll be listening to radio.
Sure.
So if you find a way that you'll speak and get to them in the evenings through radio, then you will still be communicating, and you'll not only communicate to the youth, but also to the people who are the custodians. And then again, if you find everyone has a smartphone, every smartphone has a radio, and you'll find many youth are buried with the headphones or what's the name of this?
AirPod,
yes,
yeah.
and these are the cordless ones. What's the name? AirPods. Yeah. Listening to either music or radio or stuff like this. So that becomes a way also of how you are able to channel and get that networking of social media to the next media, broadcast and so
Thank
on.
you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's appreciate him. Thank you so much. Okay, so for the want of time, I'll take two last submissions from two ladies for the want of time. But this discussion is not ending with this session. Let's continue. We have 2-3 more days here, so let's make progress. I go to the back, I pick her, and then I come to you, and then I go to my panelists. Thank you. Yes, then we are done. So in the next 5 minutes, we should wrap up, please.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
So yesterday when I was introducing myself, I said I create content.
Okay.
So I didn't realize how powerful social media was until until one of a survivor of GBV I am working with was featured in somebody's YouTube channel, and her story went viral, and she survived a very cruel violence. So she almost lost her life. She lost her eye, she lost her fingers, she was chopped all over her head, and it was very terrible. So when I coordinated for her to be interviewed on a YouTube channel and also on the mainstream media, people were able to relate with her story, and also she got so much support from people across the world. So she was living in the slum, but now her life has totally transformed, and now she lives in a better environment. Her kids are in a better school, and she has gotten economic empowerment, all because we used social media to tell her story. So the way you package also your story is very important. And just to echo what Ahmed said, that I think all of us will need capacity building in terms of digital literacy, so that we are able to know how we are going to tell the stories. Don't just pick your phone or camera and just randomly taking pictures of the people you are supporting without their consent. So let them be comfortable enough to share their stories. Yes, and
Thank
also
you.
there was another story I did of a lady who runs a children's home in the slums. And for her, she has leveraged on Facebook. She's not on Instagram, she's not on Twitter, but Facebook has been able to, move her from a one-room house where she was hosting these children. Now she has built a 3-story house, all because of social media. Yeah.
Massive. Thank you very much. Okay, so last submission, please.
Thank you. Okay, so to share experience, there was a time we went on radio to talk about FGM. And okay, so after the radio program, after talking about it, it's a call-in program, so people can call in. And people were calling in and asking questions, like direct question, like, were you not also mutilated? Why are you coming here to give us foreign ideas and culture? Don't you know it's part of our culture and all of that? So that was like attacking directly. And so we just had to, the fact that people were mutilated, the fact that it was part of the culture does not mean that it should continue. So we just had to like carry the message that way so that people understand. Then when using social media, I want to say that when passing out information on FGM, there is what we call, like you mentioned the other time, social media etiquette. So when you are trying to talk about something, you should not be using graphical images. Like maybe you are showing picture of a child that was mutilated with blood running all over her. That will not appeal to people to even want to listen to you. So you have to like be careful. And also one of the panelists also mentioned that clarity of your message. So be clear as to this is what I'm actually saying. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you so much. Yeah, let's appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so back online, and this will be our final take for this afternoon. So to my guest, how can young people draw the line between advocacy and instigation? You know that social media is so powerful and it can be used to instigate, against government and against authority. So I want you to tie that with your closing remarks. Thank you. So let me start with Cynthia.
Yeah, thank you. And to everyone who contributed, I love listening to all the discussions and contributions. So, how can you ensure that you're not instigating? I believe when you are an activist or an advocate, you are fighting against something. So naturally, just by the name, shows that there's someone going to be on the other side. I think we should not be afraid of confrontation. This is all I keep hearing where, I'm doing this and people are attacking me. Of course, people are attacking you because you are fighting against something that they have been doing for years and decades and centuries. It is part of their culture. And as Africans, we know how deeply embedded our cultural beliefs are into our daily realities. So I think that we should first of all step away from the fear of confrontation. The first contributor spoke about how when they are online, they get a lot of backlash versus physically. Social media is literally the new reality. So that's an oppression technique. It's an oppression tool. As a woman, back in the days, what they used to do was to try and silence us physically. But now they know that physically that might not work because people are using the power of social media. So everything that happens right now has happened before. Social media as a way of advocacy can also be used as a tool of oppression. And people who are against, like you said, a lot of men are against your messages because you're challenging their ideas of gender, challenging their ideas of how the patriarchal society should be arranged, especially if we are trying to prioritize women's sexual reproductive rights. So recognize that this is an oppressor's technique and a way to silence your voice. And if you get afraid because you want to tweet something and you're thinking about, oh, the people are going to backlash, then they have won because that's literally their modus operandi. So that's one thing that I would like us to really think about. And also the fact that our messaging, when we talk about like the messaging, it depends again if you are fighting for
Cynthia,
female genital mutilation to lead to a sustainable solution. The way you would frame your messages, the energy you would come with would be very different than if you're just coming to talk about it because you want to insult.
Cynthia, we are running against time, and so we want to appreciate that. Thank you very much. Please, let's appreciate Cynthia. Thank you so much. So, Robert, as a gentleman that you are, Cynthia has left you with 30 seconds. So please, let's have your final words. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry, Robert.
Not a problem. Not a problem. I think the views, the experience in the room speak for themselves. You have, I think, a rich set of experiences and expertise in the room, and people have said it really well. Utilizing opinion leaders in the community to carry our message. It's not enough. Just because we have 400, 500, people following us, that we always be the one to speak. I think utilize those powerful voices, in the community to really amplify, your message. But I think overall, there is rich enough, information in the room from Ahmed, my brother, who I haven't seen for I think many, many years in the room, talking about consistency of message, to my friend from Uganda, who was talking about, the things that we like to see online vis-a-vis what really gets amplified, all resonate, with the question that you're asking. So I think let's continue listening to one another. Let's continue talking to one another, and let's remember what Cynthia just said. Confrontation online will never end. People will disagree with you on a color, the color of this pen being, oh, okay, you can't really see it because I put, this blur or whatever. But this pen is blue, but people will disagree with you that this pen is blue just for the sake of it. Confrontation will never end. I think let's stick to our message. We're not propagating war here. We are protecting and we are championing, the well-being of girls and women for the Africa that we want. And so let's not shy away from that. Whoever wants to fight with us, they can get in line. But I think our message should continue being consistent. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, Robert. Let's appreciate Robert, please. And so, ladies, gentlemen, friends, and that brings us to the end of this afternoon session. I want to thank you for participating and for promising that you carry this fight, beyond this place. Thank you so much, and let's enjoy the rest of the program. Thank you so much. So, Ashifa.
Thank you very much, Cedric, for the wonderful session. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Cynthia. We learned a lot. And for me, the key thing is just before the lunch break, we were drafting plans. Now, what the key thing for me is that we should also add communication plans. How many groups have communication plans in their drafts? So that is free for us. How do we want to communicate the results that we are achieving? Because our plan is to achieve results. How do we want to communicate? How do we want to share our stories of most significant change? It's sad that Baraga joined us just today. I was thinking that he will be able to join from yesterday so that he will talk to us about how to communicate results. He is our M&E consultant on the project. So yes, thank you very much, Cynthia. We will not be afraid of confrontations. It's a fight. So we are ready for the resistance, and we will wear them down because we are the winning side. So up next, we are going to have 2 performances. Yes, 2 short performances. We will have Collins Omar to recite poetry for us. Then immediately after Collins, Iron Lady will come up. Okay, Iron Lady, don't worry, you will see her. You will see the Iron Lady. So after the 2 performances, we are going to have time, 30 minutes. The 30 minutes is 30 minutes. 30 minutes to present our drafts. Then, movie time. All right, welcome, Collins.
Thank you. And before I read for you a piece from here, I just want to add to what the panel in the morning said, guided by Bina, I think, Bina Maseno, right? She said that we do not respond or fight against these things just because they were done to our sisters or our mothers or people close to us, but because they are human. And I think that's a powerful thing, and I must reiterate that. And I'm a peace advocate, and peace is not the absence of violence, it's the presence of justice. And in the words of Martin Luther King Jr., injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere, right? So female genital mutilation being done to girls somewhere, it's injustice there. And it's now injustice everywhere. That's why everybody should, hold hands in the fight against female genital mutilation. Now, I'll read for you a piece in regards to humanity, or in relation to humanity.
Recording stopped.
From my book.
Recording in progress.
Called Morning Shall Come. And the poem is called Soliloquy. And if you could give me your ears for a minute. It goes as such. Who are we but victims of existence? Consequences of wild choices. Sometimes products of sheer luck.
taking form by nature of our struggle, sinking in the depth of our own pride, seeking more than we can ever finish, yearning for more than we can ever achieve, limitations defining our wisdom, splendor yet our folly, being and being not human as perception, judged harshly through lenses of self-interest, competition at the core for insanity, pulling fear from dark corners of imagination. If we are more than this, won't we be gods? Never to taste death, pain, nor the wrath of time. Still, won't it be a small heaven down here if only you valued me first as a human and I, you? Thank you.
Hi everyone, so I'm the Iron Lady. That is my artistic name. I'm a spoken word artist. I do it in English and Swahili. I mix them. So hope you'll enjoy. So today I'll perform a piece about love peace. Everybody love, that is no. Everyone has a crush. So this piece is about crush. So I'm giving you some pickup lines, then you'll go and there. Okay. So first time nilikuona, I was like, oh no, juu smile yako ndo ilinipiga kaa thanda, nikabaki siradi kitu. So kama mapenzi ni bet, basi mi nshakaza, sijui nikuite mogoka juu kimapenzi umenichana. So sina tofauti na semeti ya Lang'ata, juu vile inaonekana mi ushaniua. Ati kwa siso wendo mzito, so hata tukibalance ni wa utaniinua. Physically uko well built, so si need makeup ndio tukuwe na foundation fiti. I think you're my favorite bank, because in you see I'm getting interest. So crush, vile feelings zangu kwako ni kaa sabuni, si kwa hati yangu umeshaipanga. You're my sunlight, that's why niko na ushindi. So crush, niamini nikikwambia you're my favorite vitamin. Nimekupenda na passion, and since you're my favorite fruit, acha nikute the apple of my eye. That's why sihitaji iPhone anymore, you're already an apple of my eye. I tell, hata wakikam na Samsung Galaxy, ati bado nitatake. No, thank you.
I need to learn Swahili. Who's offering to teach me? Okay, I have like 4 teachers already. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Collins and Iron Lady. Straight away, each group is going to have 5 minutes. To present. Oh, you want to start? Okay, so let's welcome group. Yeah, actually group number 8, but fine.